Right. Yeah, so quite great weather that we're having today. I don't know. It's been like sunny, but also like a little cloudy. So I don't know. It's just been.
It's kind of chilly in the shade.
In the shade? Yeah, I don't know. Just the weather here in Pittsburgh's been crazy. So, hi everyone. How's everyone doing today? So, tell me where you're from. I see South Carolina, New Braunfels. So, wow, how's everyone doing today? So, today I'm going to be showing some interesting brother products. So, if you're new here, welcome to Gloria Horn Sewing Studio. We're located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So, we do a live stream every day here where we'll show new products, new techniques, new fun projects. And so, Alabama, Nashville, Austin, Texas. Wow, you guys are from all over the place today. So, yeah. So, today I'm showing some fun Brother products. I have a few machines behind me. I have the Brother Luminaire, the Brother 3550, and the Brother Scan and Cut. And I'm showing a couple fun, interesting techniques that you might not know are in your Brother machine if you already have one, or if you're interested in one, maybe this will make you kind of interested in a Brother machine. So, yeah, I'm going to just let everybody join in here real quick. So I know that usually we don't do a show at like 3:30 on a Tuesday. Quite an interesting time, right, Kate?
Yeah.
So usually Tiffany's on at like 12 or noon. So, and happy birthday, Lisa. So what a better way to spend your birthday than joining with us. So everybody tell Lisa happy birthday in the comments. But yeah, so I have some really fun things to show you guys today. But first, I wanted to talk about the fall event. And Kate, if you want to join in here with me and talk about it. So, oh my. So, coming up here soon in the fall in October, we're doing another fun fall event. We did one last year, and it's so funny. I think Kate and I are the best two people to talk about this. We were both brand new at the last fall event.
It was like my second day at the fall event.
It was like my second month here, and I had just gotten back from brother training with Tommy and then like thrown into it. And it was just like, whoa, like we're doing a really big event. There's 300 something people that attended. Yeah. So I don't think we have that many spots this time around. In fact, 3 of the 4 sessions are completely sold out. So we only have that Monday, Tuesday available, I think. And I think there's only like 20 or 30 spots left. So we do really fun events. Usually we do 4 projects. We just did our spring event here. Tommy and I did the Brother Scan and Cut. We did a really fun project with that. And we did an awesome denim jacket. Kathy and Mary Lou from Kimberbell, who are on tomorrow, they did a really fun rope bowl.
They did. Yep.
Gloria did a really amazing IQ designer project, and hers was honestly hard to beat. We all joke with each other and say that we have the best class, but Gloria did have the best class with her bench pillow, and Tiffany did an amazing duffel bag. So, but for the upcoming fall one, we're all planning our fun project. So Tommy and I are thinking of a really fun project. Ours is a little out of the box. Kate knows what it is. We're not announcing it yet in case we switch up, but Gloria's doing a really fun project. Did she show what she's doing?
Yeah, so she's doing these pumpkins in IQ Designer, and so we're going to make these, and then we're thinking about getting some multi-needles and making freestanding lace sleeves, but that might not happen.
We'll see.
Not sure.
I think it'd be fun. The multi-needles are fun. We had the multi-needles in our room. We just didn't get the time to use them. So, but the multi-needles are really fun. But yeah, this is such an amazing project. So I think there's going to be a lot of fun in Gloria's class with this. I can say Tommy and I plan on using the Print Moda and the sublimation printer in our class this time around. So, and then did anybody else plan their projects yet? Do we know?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, no matter what, we always do something fun, and I know that we have some very beautiful fall fabrics. Isn't this one of them?
This is actually an older one. This was an idea we had for a possible table runner class, but we have a line from Timeless Treasures that we're using.
Oh my gosh, look at these. Look how beautiful these are. See, we use the best fabrics, the most beautiful ones, and look at the metallics in this, the gold. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
so
they're beautiful.
So if you are interested in signing up, and you know what, our events are so fun. You might make a few friends that might end up becoming sewing buddies, sewing friends. So in fact, we've had a couple people that went to the fall event and then they said, oh, we're going to go to the cruise together. They went to our spring event together and they're going to this fall event together. So you might make a couple new friends that have the same hobby that you do. So, because this is like the best hobby, sewing. It's like, it's just fun. It's amazing. It's relaxing. It's therapeutic. And so doing our events, you always will have a fun time. So,
and it's at the Crown Plaza in Pittsburgh, PA. So it's 2-day sessions. We start sewing in classes around, what was it?
Around
like
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock until around 4 o'clock. You get some lunch that is included, and there is a promo code for the hotel. So if you wanted to book a room, you just call the front desk and give them the code. I think it's in the description of the product.
So, and yeah, so we always have a fun time. We do have a nice lunch hour in between, and the hotel is beautiful. So, and we do, over the course of 2 days, you do 4 fun projects. Some might be a little bit more hands-on, but no matter what, we always have great instructors around, like Kate, myself, you know, Tommy, Steve's usually around, Kathy, Mary Lou, and everybody else that helps us at our events, like Cindy. And we'll make sure you get your projects done. We don't send you home with homework. That's what Gloria jokes and says. So, yes.
Linda said GHS is the code.
Yes, GHS is the code. So if you did already book for the upcoming fall event and you're looking for the code, if you go ahead and call the Crown Plaza and you just use that code, GHS, you could book that room under our room rate and get a better rate on a hotel room. So, yes. And Christina, I love to hear that. So, but alrighty,
Okay,
should I show them the fun things I got planned for today here?
Yeah.
So, I have a couple machines that I wanted to show today. So usually on Tuesdays, Tiffany will show bag making, but she's kind of out today. So I have a couple really fun machines that I'm showing today. All brother products today. So today's Brother Day is what I'm calling it. And behind me, I have the Brother Luminaire. So this is a pre-loved machine. And I know a lot of people have been really interested in the Baby Lock Solaris. A lot of people want to upgrade their machines. They might not have the biggest size hoop. So, and on the Luminaire or Solaris, it's 10 5/8 by 16. So that's a nice big hoop to do a lot of fun projects. Of course, some that I don't have around, but I mean, doing even this pumpkin or something similar to this, you could do in that size hoop. We love the stitch bags. I don't have it next to me, but I love to talk about that. You do all the panels in that big hoop. So that's really fun and cool. But the Brother machines have a couple fun features that the Baby Lock machines don't have. So that's why I always like to say, hey, the Brother machines are kind of cool. So I'm going to show a couple features. The first one I could show briefly, and that is the Artspira app. So it works with all of Brother's machines, and I'm just going to go to the home page real quick. And so if you have a Brother Scan and Cut, the 3550, or one of Brother's embroidery machines that says it's Artspira compatible, older models don't have it, but the newer ones do. And so they always have a fun weekly project they upload. They upload new free and paid embroidery designs. And if you had gotten a Brother machine and you said, oh, well, I want Disney designs, but I didn't purchase the Disney model, you can actually purchase individual Disney designs here, and they have so many to choose from. And there's a free version and a premium version of the Artspira app. And so these ones are cutting designs for the Scan and Cut for Alice in Wonderland. If I go back here and I switch to the embroidery side, I can go here and pull up Aladdin embroidery designs. I can go back and let's say I am looking at this upside down. So let's do Alice in Wonderland again. And they have all different designs you could choose from and purchase individually and wirelessly send over to your machine. So if you're a Disney fan, the Brother machines might strike a lot of interest to you because Their digitizing on their Disney designs is flawless. They come out beautiful every single time. And it's nice, so if you are maybe interested in the Luminaire or the 3550, which I have really good deals on both of these right now, which I'm going to show in a minute, but that's something that's really cool to have that app. And there's so much more to it. There's fun projects, there's cutting designs for their scan and cut. This app also works directly with the Print Moda and the sublimation printers from Brother, which we use a lot here now. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those a little later. But I'm going to go and jump over to the Luminaire over here, actually. And so maybe you have a Solaris or a Chorus, but a lot of people have forgotten about this feature. So if we go into sewing over here, and so we open up the screen, and let me just start off from home real quick. So if we go into sewing, and there's this really cool feature called directional sewing that is in the Solaris and Luminaire. And if you're interested in either of those machines, we have a couple pre-loved ones left. I would definitely give Steve or I a call. These are gonna definitely go quickly, especially the Luminaires, especially after I show you a little bit more of some of the fun features here. But so when we open up sewing, and we're in the utility stitch category, which is the blue. If we scroll over to number 5, there's this really cool feature called directional sewing. And you might say, well, John, what does that mean? You can actually go ahead and sew sideways. And so I'm going to set up over here real quick. And Kate switched the camera. And so the machine tells us to use the N foot. I'm actually going to use the N plus foot that came out in a 3rd upgrade for both the Solaris and Luminaire. And if you don't have a Solaris or Luminaire or didn't purchase the upgrade kit, you can actually purchase this foot separately. We have it a little bit later in the lineup. But I like the N plus foot because it has brackets that prevents the foot from wobbling when sewing. So it's really cool, and we'll put that on. And by directional sewing, if we select, let's go straight first. So if we come over to the machine and we select 7 in directional and we start, it's going to go straight. And then we can actually select number 4 then, and we could go sideways. And so what sewing machine have you ever seen that actually can sew sideways? And if you didn't think that was cool enough, you can actually go ahead and on the Solaris and Luminaire, you can sew diagonally. So we could sew diagonally right up. And so you might be saying, well, what am I going to use directional sewing for, John? And one of the big things is if you have, let's say, a quilt or a binding and it's too big to turn, especially on some of the smaller machines that have this feature, you could sew sideways. You could use it for labels, or the big one is, let's say you're sewing a purse strap and you want to do the box stitch. And I wanted to walk through this in a second. But you could actually do the box stitch diagonally rather than turning whatever item you have left and right trying to get those stitches to line up. It does take a little bit of practice to get better at it. I'm still not the best at it, but if you practice a little bit, you'll get really good at it. And then another thing that you can use directional sewing for is even a little bar tack. So you can actually do a zigzag. Left, right, down, and up. You can't do the zigzag diagonally, but if we select number 9 and we start, and then we go to number 10 and go back, and we could repeat that as many times as need be. We can actually go ahead and create a little bar tack. So you just want to make sure that your needle ends at the bottom part. Otherwise, if you start to switch over to the other side, it'll start going up a little bit, and I'll show that. So ending off that bar tack with directional sewing is kind of important, making sure that your needle ends at the bottom and not the top. And that's why I just kind of press the button once or twice so that it doesn't go upwards. But I'll show that one more time. So let's do number 10. And then ending at the bottom of it, we could switch over. And then we could tie off and trim. And so you can make a nice little bar tack with that directional sewing too. And sewing those X stitches, so you would just line up your needle with that row. And then let's do so we could just follow that little line that I made. And then we could select number 4. I am sewing at a little bit of an angle here, everyone, so it's kind of hard for me to see from this angle, so I might be a little bit off of that black line there. But I just think this is such a cool feature to be able to have on a machine. I'm a little off for my line, but if I was sewing a little bit of a better angle here, I would be able to see it a little bit better. But I'm just kind of walking through on how you can use this feature to definitely sew out those little X bar tack stitches on maybe a bag or a purse or something. So it's definitely such a unique feature. And you might be saying, well, is there another purpose for this on the machines? On the machines, there's some really big decorative stitches, so like the wave stitch, and it uses that feature of the foot moving sideways to actually achieve those. So
Janet is asking if the Solaris has this feature too.
yes, the Solaris does have this feature, so if you are more so interested in the Solaris has a directional sewing feature as well. Now, what is unique to the Brother machines though, and I wanted to show a little stitch out that I did, is the Art Spira app. So if we go to the Art Spira app real quick, under the embroidery designs, the cutting designs, but even the My Creations tab, there's some really beautiful designs like this rose in here. So I actually saved that. There's tons of different monograms in there. But I always save this rose, and it's one of their premium designs. And you could just wirelessly transfer that over to the machine. I don't have my phone hooked up to the Luminaire, so I can't transfer it over to this one, but it's very easy to transfer over the designs. I might be able to show it on the next machine I'm going to show over here in a minute, but because I think I have that one connected. But yeah, it's such a cool feature, and having beautiful designs like this. The Baby Lock ones does not have compatibility with the Art Spira app. It's only for the Brothers, so that's a really cool thing that's there. Now, and you can connect that in the settings page. So if you go to page 13 out of 13 on your Luminaire, you would hit register, and then it would walk you through everything to register your machine to your Art Spira account. So, but alrighty, so now here's another really cool feature that's unique to the Brother machines. So this is my absolute favorite machine. So if you're somebody that's brand new to sewing and embroidery, and or maybe even you have like a smaller machine that's only a 5x7, I always recommend the Brother 3550. This is the best machine. So it does have the Art Spira compatibility, and it's a sewing and embroidery combo. So if we cancel out there real quick. So it's a great sewing machine, and I always, always, always love to talk about this feature. It's in the Solaris, the Luminaire, but starting with this model, it has it. And if we go to settings, it has the automatic fabric sensor system, which when turned on, whenever your foot goes down and presses against the fabric, it senses how thick it is, and it will auto adjust the tension so that you have perfect stitching every time. It's one of my favorite features on this machine. It's a little workhorse. It can sew through many layers of heavy denim. And yeah, it's just my favorite one. And you also have the slide-on hoop, so it could do up to a 6x10, which a lot of Kimberbell projects are done in this machine. I know Kathy and Mary Lou always show this one on Wednesdays whenever they're doing their projects. They might be sewing out something on one of the bigger ones, but they always have this one on the side stitching out their other projects. So, but when we go into sewing, so on the Brother machines, this is a very unique feature. Baby Locks doesn't have it, Bernina doesn't have it, no other brand has this feature, and it's called My Custom Stitch. So you can actually design your own custom sewing stitches, which you might say, well, that's cool, but when would I use it? And there's two that I really love to show. So if we are on our machine and we're in sewing, if we tap this button right here, and you will not see this on the Baby Lock machines like the Vesta, it's this little icon right here. And if we tap this, it brings us into the My Custom Stitch page. And so this is our needle plate. So we can see like the little divot on how wide it is for our area to design any type of stitch. And so the easiest one to do is a extra wide blanket stitch. So if we hit set, and then we go all the way over here, and then we hit set again, and we repeat that one more time. And so that was just 5 points that I plotted, and I'm just having a needle go back and forth twice. And then I could drop it down to about the 5. And then I could repeat that one more time. And so that was just 10 very easy steps to create this stitch here. And then if we hit test, it will automatically repeat it. And so if I just take a piece of fabric right here, and I'll just set it under and hit start. And I picked out a really pretty variegated thread to use with this, but we can see that with this stitch, it's giving the illusion that the thread that's going back and forth is thicker. So it's really cool. And you could do that as many times as you want. If you wanted to make it go back and forth like 5 times to really make it look thicker, you could do that, and that's pretty cool. So, and I've seen some people do some really creative things with this feature, some really cool heart stitches. Somebody did a rose one, and I just thought that was really cool. So we'll just tie off. And there we can see that's that extra wide blanket stitch, and we can see how it looks thicker up here rather than it just going back and forth twice, which one of the one of the stitches do that. But you know, so we can really kind of design anything we want there. It's really cool. Now here's a really cool one though that I saw that I always have to show everybody. And should I show them first on how to design it, or show them the final one first and then show them how to design it? What do you think, Kate?
Show the final first.
Okay, so this is done kind of replicating a blind hem, and we're able to make these stitches look like they're floating apart without visible stitches in between. And so I'm calling it just kind of like a mirage effect. And so this is popular on another machine brand, but I was able to replicate it here in My Custom Stitch, and I'm going to show everybody how to do it. And then I think it's really cool. You could hem a pillowcase with this. You could hem your pants like this. Anything that you could use a blind hem on, you could kind of recreate this stitch and use that in place of it. So And also, here's the cool thing. You could actually save these stitches to the machine as well. And so if we hit the pocket, we could save it to the machine, and then we'll be able to pull it back up if we ever want to use it again. And so if I cancel out and I went to this section right here next to the little pencil, we can tap on the machine and it will pull up our saved stitches. And so now if I go into my custom stitch again, you can actually bring in certain stitch designs as a preload, and then you can edit them. And so let's say I go over here and go ahead and select the little oval one. I can hit OK. And then up here is a little number that tells you what point you're on. So because my pencil ends at the middle, I am going to go down 3 points, actually 4, my bad, and we'll hit set, and we're just creating tiny stitches to space in between those stitches when we sew this as a blind hem. And we're just going to go all the way to the bottom until we max out that length of the stitch. And then we'll hit set. And now we can hit test and it will repeat it. And so with this part, I like to actually use a blind hem foot. That way I can guide the fabric without sewing these little straight stitches onto the way I have the fabric folded, which I'm going to show everybody how to fold that fabric real quick and iron it. But I'm just going to quickly swap out this foot. And so if you don't have a blind hem foot, you might want to get one after this, even if you're not sewing clothes, because you could use it for a really cool stitch like this. And so I'm going to just pop over here real quick. And I took a piece of fabric, and I kind of already ironed it, but I'm going to re-show this. So here's our fabric right here. And let's just say we were going to fold up however much our hem was going to be. And then ideally, we would have this edge of the fabric finished or serged in some type of way. And so this is the right side, and I'm just going to mark it with the pen since I chose white fabric. So this is the right side of the fabric, and this is the wrong side here. And so here's our outside, and so we'll fold down. And this would be the wrong side. And then this part here, the right side. And we're going to press and giving us enough room here that we could do our blind stitch, or blind hem stitch, kind of. We're doing the mirage stitch here. And we'll press that so it's nice and even. So you just want enough where you could see that. And then when we fold out, that would be our right side. So let's go back over to the machine real quick, and we'll line this up. And so with your blind hem foot, you can adjust this white part to wherever you have your needle at. I'm going to adjust it a little bit past the tip of the needle there. This way, whenever it's sewing the zigzag part, the straight stitch, we don't want the straight stitch to catch this part. I'm going to point with the little squeezy snips here. When we're doing that straight stitch here, we don't want that to catch onto this part because then it will be visible and it will also pucker the fabric. We only want the little oval part to go over and catch this part. And so those straight stitches is going to go onto just this piece where we won't see it. It will be hidden on the inside, and that way it kind of creates that mirage effect. So if we hit start, and so I'm just using the same color thread in the top and the bottom here too. So I'm just using this really pretty variegated thread. And then if we hit this button here, this will actually finish off the stitch at that sequence and tie a knot. So at the very end of those straight stitches, we'll automatically stop when it's lit in green and tie a knot. And we could hit the thread trimmer. Let's see how I did. Okay, looks like I didn't catch that. So yeah, using the blind hem foot definitely makes this a lot easier rather than just using the regular N foot or the J foot. And so if we go back over to the iron here, and here's where the magic happens. So we'll pull and we'll see those stitches start to appear. And so now they look like they're floating without any visible stitching in between. I mean, you can see a little bit through this white fabric. And then we'll just give this a nice iron. And so I just think that's such a fun way that you could kind of hem a pillowcase or a pair of pants with this feature. And so that's just like really one little way that you can use that My Custom Stitch feature. But I think that's just really such an amazing feature built in on that machine. And so if you are definitely interested, and a lot of people love the 3550 as their travel machine. So you might have a Solaris or a Luminaire, a Radiance, maybe a Avenir, right? And you don't want to carry that to classes with you. It's heavy. Trust me, I know. I'm always picking up the boxes here with Steve. They're very heavy, but the 3550 is a perfect lightweight travel machine too that you could bring to your quilt retreats with you, or maybe you're going over your nieces and nephews for the weekend, or maybe your cabin, and you still want to sew, but you don't want to bring a heavy machine home with you. So I always recommend the 3550. And also graduation season's here, so maybe if you wanted to get a really nice gift for a grandchild or a niece or nephew, or maybe a son or daughter that loves sewing, that's always the best machine too. And if you are interested, you could give Steve or I a call at 412-344-2330, option 2. We have a really good price on these machines that we can't advertise. They were previously used just for our classroom at our spring event, just for a few days, and they go through a quick service. They're in perfect condition, and so you can really save a lot if you're interested in a classroom model. And so, yes. Now, I have one more really fun thing to show you guys today, machine-wise, and that is with the scan and cut. So, if I come over here real quick, and let me wake it up. So I'll let Kate set up here. And while she's doing that, I am going to show a couple things. So a lot of you guys might have bought a scan and cut at like the fall or spring event. And there are so many things that you could do with the scan and cut. I know Tommy and I used it to do rhinestone templates at our spring event. But I bet a lot of people did not know that you can actually draw with the scan and cut. And I just think that's like the coolest thing. So you could pick any design that's built in on the machine, or you could purchase designs separately, and any of them can be used to draw. It will use the cutting file line, and instead of cutting it, it will draw. So these were just a couple ones built in on the machine. I did Cinderella here. It's a little bit hard to see with the blue. I did a rose. This is just what I did in a couple of minutes before the show. But it draws perfectly, which I just think is amazing. And you could do layered drawings that have different cutting steps, and you could change the colors. These were just with one single color with these. And so I really wanted to show that to you guys with the scan and cut. And this I just did on a regular piece of paper. You could do it on cardstock. Heck, I'm sure you can maybe even draw on fabric. That would be cool. We're going to test that. Maybe I'll come up with something there. So, but if we go over to the scan and cut here, and I just put a piece of paper on this really beat up mat that we had from the event. So take good care of your mats and clean them off in between. If you were at the event, then you would know that our mats got well used. But if you're doing cardstock or paper, they recommend doing the low tack mat, which I just don't happen to have one next to me right now, so I was just using the standard tack. And if we go over to pattern, and we can select from any of these different ones. So we have Disney on this one. So this is the Scan and Cut 330. In the lineup, we have the 325. If you are interested in the Disney edition, once again, you could go ahead and give Steve or I a call. But the Disney one has built-in Disney designs. And also, the Scan and Cuts do work with the Artspira app, so you could pick any of those designs that you find on there that you like, and you could actually wirelessly send those over and transfer those to the machine as well. But if I go here and select in this category, and you could write out names, fonts, whatever's on the machine, you could use it to draw. And if we go here and select any one of these, so we could select the dahlia flower, we could do the roses, these borders, and it's just going to draw the outline. But why don't we select this flower right here? Or maybe something bigger. What about, I want the biggest one I could pick. Maybe this one. There we go. So I'll show that one more time. And so you could scan in whatever's on your mat. I kind of just centered this piece of paper right here, but that's what's really unique about the Scan and Cut is you can actually scan in whatever's on your mat. So if I didn't even have this piece of paper perfectly on here, I could have had it sideways. I could rotate my design and scan in what I have on the mat, which is a little bit harder to see with pure white paper like this. But then I could rotate my design however I need to be. Other cutting machines, you have to be perfectly within the grids, which isn't as fun and not as user-friendly. So, and then we could hit OK. And that's going to bring up this little please select tool. And so I could hit that, and then I could select draw. And so now the machine's going to know, okay, I'm going to draw with this. And I'm going to go back to the table real quick. So this is the pen holder. And here's the little markers that go with it. So there's these colors that are sold separately, and I think these two come with the machine. It's the purple and the blue. And on the pen holder in the back, you can switch the color of the cartridge just by pushing in on this little divot right here. And it will unlock. And then you could take out whatever color you were using and put the cap back on it, so that the little marker doesn't dry up. And then put the new one in. And whenever you're done using it, take out the marker and put the cap on so it doesn't dry up. And going back over to the machine real quick, this will just slide right in here, just like any of the other blades, and then lock down. And then we could hit start. And then it's just going to draw out that design. I just think that's the coolest thing. What do you think, Kate?
I think it's pretty cool.
So, and there's so many really pretty cutting designs and other designs for the Scan and Cut here in Artspira. And if I even typed in maybe card, and if it loads, they have all these different card designs that you could cut out on your Scan and Cut in the Artspira app. And I just think that's so cool, because if you wanted to make a customized card for somebody, or even just cut out the blank and then you can embroider the front of your card with sticky back tearaway, that would be so cool. And fun personalized gifts like that, like especially with Christmas coming up. And I'm saying coming up even though it's 6 months away, but we have to start planning our gifts now, which is going to lead into me talking about the Advent box. Oh my gosh, wait, we did do that one. Perfect. So you have cutting designs like this, and then this is just the first part of the cutting design. I didn't even know we had it. Kate pulled it out of nowhere. But it is a really cool 3D card, and then you would take your glue, and then you would apply that to the backing card, which cuts out. But you can make a really cool 3D Merry Christmas pop-out card. That's just amazing, and it just wirelessly transfers over to the machine. So, wow. I'm surprised Kate had this hidden over here.
I remember like Tommy made it. back in December.
Oh my. So I think I'm going to have to get started on all my Christmas cards soon. I think I want to be a little extra special this year and make them all myself. So, and while that's still drawing over in the background, I think maybe we should take a minute and talk about the Advent box. So, Kate, do you want to join me with talking with this one? Since Kate's actually, Kate and Tommy are designing the box. So,
yeah, so this is our Advent box. It is a bit early, but we wanted to do some pre-orders just to get a count on how many people would want it. But this was our box from last year. And so you open it up. I have a bunch of tabs on here because I was trying to pick out colors for the next one. But there are 24 boxes in here, and each one has a special little gift unique to Gloria Horn. So we are working on picking out things for the boxes. I know Gloria wants to do a project throughout the boxes like we did last year. Everyone loved that. So
don't worry. I think there's going to be extra candy in this one coming up this time around.
Yep.
Gloria already said, she said, I have it on order. We're in a candy crisis right now. So don't worry. There will be lots of candy in this box. Yep. Unless I eat it all. So, yeah, our Advent box is really fun. We have some fun stuff that we're planning right now for coming up with this next one here. And it's always a fun little project. And all the boxes kind of coordinate with each other too. And you'll get some things that you'll be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I needed that. I mean, last year we did have gray spool caps in that box. And everybody thanked us because they're like, you drop it and it just disappears. So you always need a couple extra gray spool caps. That's like the most important one. So.
And whenever December comes, we'll be opening them up each day on our live stream. So you'll have to make sure to tune in to see what everyone gets in their box.
Yes. And so there might be a little special things in there from like Tommy or Gloria, or maybe Kathy and Mary Lou. So
yeah, tons of surprises.
Yeah, tons of surprises. I can't ruin anything, so I'm not allowed to say yet.
Nope.
We'll wait till Christmas when we open those boxes up. So, but if we kind of switch back over to the scan and cut here real quick, we can see how it perfectly drew out that dahlia flower. And that's just so pretty. I just love it, and it draws it out perfectly. And so if you were doing that on cardstock, or even this is just a fun thing to do with like the kids, nieces, nephews, grandchildren. I know Steve was talking about doing it with his nephew. And you could pick out any of the Disney designs, like Lightning McQueen. If we hit home and cancel out that pattern, there's all these different Disney designs too in the SDX 330. And so you could select even Mickey Mouse here. And we could go and pick out one of the designs. Like if we picked out, let's say, the bow and hit OK. And if we select this version of it that has all the layers and then hit set and then hit OK again. And I would drag it to the middle. And then if we did draw, it should layer the design where it will do the first step first in the first color and then the next color. And I think there's 3 steps to that one. And then it would do the third color. So you could layer all those different colors and draw out the bow. I just think that's super cool. So, yeah. And so I think we have a couple products we're going to show today. And then I think that's going to be it for our Tuesday here. But once again, if you are interested in any machines, definitely give us a call. There is one thing that I'm kind of forgetting to put in the bundle here, or to line up, and that was actually the fabric printer. I didn't have enough space for it today. If we have it in the lineup, we're going to show it real quick. I can't haul it out of the office right this second, but I could show some of the really cool samples we made here. So these are Steve's, Tommy's, and whoever else's children over here. Steve jokes and calls them stuffed animals, and Tommy always goes, you cannot call my baby Mary a stuffed animal. So, but it's really cool. So you could print whatever design you want or have onto a piece of quilter's cotton, and then you can make really fun fabric pillows like this. You can print out really anything you want, your own custom fabrics. I mean, if you wanted to, you could take a snapshot of a fabric if you needed to kind of recreate enough for a quote or something like that. So there's a lot of fun stuff you could do with the fabric printer with what we have coming up. And I know at the fall event, we actually used the fabric printer. We printed out very beautiful, very high quality and elegant poinsettias that we applied hotfix to the back of it, and we cut them out on a scan and cut. And then they used that to put it on a tea towel. So using it for even appliques, it's really cool. So, and then, yeah, it's also, there's a couple other features with the print moda that you could print out some really cool monogrammed photos, pillows. I've been wanting to do an IQ with it forever. I have not had the chance to really sit down and plan out the project fully yet, but soon I will show how to use the print moda with IQ Designer, I think. So.
It's also a regular printer too.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm forgetting that part. It is a regular printer. I'm talking about the fabric part. As a regular printer alone, it's amazing. Steve and I threw out the old printer in the office, and we put that one in. The ink on it is amazing. It lasts forever. You might think, like, what's the catch with this printer? It must fly through ink. No, that ink lasts way more than even the printer downstairs in shipping. It's amazing. And if you're somebody who prints out like a lot of PDF patterns at home, whether it's for like appliques or sewing pattern, it prints so fast and so high detail. I print out all of Kathy's instructions for Kimberbell for her on our printer and just zips right through it. So yeah, if you're interested in a fabric printer too and you're local, why don't you stop in? I'm more than happy to show you how it works. It's really, really cool. So. All right, so I'm going to show a couple products now that we have set aside. So the first one in the lineup here is the Brother Scan and Cut, the 325. This is not the Disney version. If you are interested in the Disney version, you do have to give Steve and I a call. We're not allowed to advertise that one online. So the Scan and Cut, once again, super fun. There's so many fun things you could do with it. It's even cutting out like your applique for piecing, or which I think I might be stopping in tomorrow on Kathy and Mary Lou's show because I just found this out. But Kimberbell's apparently had SVG files with all of their stuff forever, and we've never shown it cutting out their appliques. So I think pretty soon here, maybe this Wednesday or next Wednesday, Tommy and I will join in with Mary Lou and Kathy and show you guys how to cut out your Kimberbell appliques on the Scan and Cut. So, all right, and then up next, I have the 12x12 standard tack adhesive mat. So that mat is used for cutting out things like heat transfer vinyl or like the glitter vinyl we did, or anything that's kind of like not really a fabric, because there's a separate mat for that, which I have up next, which is the 12x12 fabric mat. So we like to use that mat when we're cutting out our applique pieces. There's different levels of tackiness with the mats, and so the one up after that, I think I have the low tack mat in the lineup, so we use that one with cardstocks, papers, anything that would be, if you used paper on the regular tack mat, it might stick, which if you did attend our spring event and were in the first class, you might, Kate's laughing behind the camera here, you might know of how that happened. So just making sure you're using the right mats with your project is super important. So, and then I also have the 12x12 scanning mat. So you can actually use your scan and cut to scan in something that you have. Maybe it's a fabric and you want to bring that scanned file into palette. I believe Tommy did that before with a couple projects he worked on. So there's a lot of versatility to the scan and cut, especially if you do a lot of embroidery and you do a lot of IQ Designer. It's a very helpful tool. Up next, I have the universal pen holder. So this is what I had just shown if you didn't have one. And here's like an example right here on the front box of a layered design with all these different colors. So pretty. And yes, the universal pen holder can hold these pens right here, which I have also up in the lineup, the colored pen set. So, and you have a red, a pink, a brown, a black, a blue, and a green. So really fun. And if you do have a scan and cut, definitely try it out. Maybe post in our Facebook group of any pictures that you draw out or things that you make. It's super fun. So up next is the Brother Rhinestone Designs. So here's the card that I already used. Tommy and I showed this, what was that, going on 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
So back at the spring event, we actually used the scan and cuts to cut out a template to make a rhinestone design, which you can actually create templates that you will use the rhinestone brush to brush rhinestones into the flock, and it perfectly flips up those rhinestones. And then you use a heat transfer tape to transfer over that design. So we use the scan and cut for a lot. We cut out our applique pieces, we embroidered those onto the jacket, and then we embellished it with rhinestones with the template. It was super fun. And if you want to see more about that, definitely check out our show from 2 weeks ago. I forget which date it was, but it will say Tommy John on there. And yeah, super fun. And so with the rhinestone activation card, if you go into Canvas Workspace, this is 25 different designs here. There's a really cute cactus one, which I should have printed out the designs, but and it will give you the cutting files for those templates to make those designs. So, and it's used with Canvas Workspace. So whenever you purchase a scan and cut, you get a Canvas Workspace activation code, which you could use on your computer to design more cutting files and merge them. And it's a little bit nicer to sometimes do it on a computer because you could see everything, and then you could send it to the machine with a USB or wirelessly, if I remember correctly. So yeah, Tommy does a lot more of the Canvas Workspace. I just use the designs built in on the scan and cut.
Can you make rhinestone designs on the scan and cut without the activation card?
So you can purchase pre-cut templates. How do I say? If you purchase a rhinestone design from maybe a third party, you could cut those out. It's just kind of finding your own. So, alrighty. And then up next, I have the print moda that I talked about a little bit earlier. So once again, that fabric printer is just super fun, and just, I don't think you could have like a better gift, especially for like, even if it was like a funny gift. I mean, maybe, I don't know if Steve's here, but what if we did Steve's like head as a pillow or something and gave it to him for Christmas or something? I don't know. You could do a lot of fun stuff with it, but just seeing how vivid these images print out, and they don't really fade. Actually, I wish I had Cindy's sample. She soaked her photo in Retain for just a little bit, and then she washed it over 50 times, and it was literally so vivid still. So it really holds that ink. It's a specialized fabric with that printer, which I have up next. And so this is the printable cotton roll of fabric. It is, the dimensions are here on the side. It's not 12, it's 11.6 inches by 5.4 yards. So it's a specialized roll of fabric that fits within the print moda, that feeds it through specially, that you could print the photo on. And the way that it's treated, it holds the ink specially. So we've tested with other brands of like fabric sheets that you could put even through a regular printer. They did not work out as well as this. This holds it so beautifully and vividly, and using this for even like quilts or a memory quilt or a picture quilt is so cool. And so if you did need a stock backup on fabric, if you already have a fabric printer, now's the time to do so. Because Kate, I did not mention today, what is the percent back today? I don't remember.
It is still 10% back
It is
today.
still 10%. So everything I'm showing, because I don't know if it got taken down. I thought Kathy said we were taking it down, but today is 10% back. That does exclude machines, but with all the accessories, if you shop today, it's 10% back, put into your account that you could use for future purchases. So we're pretty amazing here with our percentage backs that we give. So yes. And then up next, especially if you need a restock, is I have the inks here for the fabric printer. And so I have the 4 different colors and cartridges, which is black, magenta, yellow, and cyan. So if you need to restock, if you're using your printer a lot, which I hope so, please post all the fun photos that you're printing out and projects that you're making with your print moda in the Facebook group, because I would love to see them. So it's really cool. Up next is 20 inches by 25 yards of no-show stabilizer. And so one of the things with buying a Solaris or a Luminaire is you have IQ Designer, or it's My Design Center on the Luminaire. And we use this more than any other stabilizer, I think. We do so many fun in the hoop projects, which I know a month ago or so, maybe a month and a half, Kate and I did IQ Designer, and we did this beautiful fancy filled oval hot pad, which is all done in the hoop, and you embroider it out in the hoop, and we prefer the no-show stabilizer. It's a very thin, lightweight cutaway, so it's perfect for projects like these. Definitely stock up with that 10% back today. So, and then I also have medium tearaway, and so I use a lot of tearaway too. So if I'm like embroidering on a woven, like a denim, or even doing like a little tea towel, and I always say getting the 20-inch wide by 25-yard roll is the best, because you could cut this down however you need, even for a 5x7 hoop. So I think this is like the best deal that you could get when buying tearaway or no-show. So is getting the bigger rolls. All right, and then I have the screwdrivers here. So I can't talk about this enough, Kate. And Kate, I think you should chime in and let our audience know how many of these screwdrivers I've lost at this point.
A whole lot, and everyone else loses them too.
So I always say it does not hurt to get a second one of these screwdrivers. And I have both the Baby Lock and Brother branded versions. And so this is their multi-position screwdriver, and this is the new advanced one. So the previous one they had out before had a smaller screw part right here. And so whenever you went to tighten a hoop, sometimes it wouldn't catch. But with this new advanced one, it's a little longer, which makes it a little easier to tighten up your screws if you're switching from your embroidery foot to your ankle shank for sewing. Or, and I'll actually be able to show it this time, if you flip your screwdriver in, you can actually use this to tighten your hoops. And so it's really easier to tighten your hoops this way with the screwdriver than gripping on. So much, much, much easier, or even loosening them. So I love these screwdrivers, and I have both the Baby Lock branded and the Brother branded, which of course I did lose the Brother one. So maybe it's in the drawer here, probably not. Probably not. So it doesn't hurt to get a second screwdriver. And so up next, I have a couple different size hoops too. And so I know a lot of people were asking for 6x6. We actually had a couple people in the store come last week, and we didn't have these in yet. And they were all like, do you have the 6x6 hoop? So here's the 6x6 embroidery hoop, and this is perfect. And this also works with the machine behind me here, the 3550. So if you did purchase one of these machines, this 6x6 hoop will work on that, because the max is 6x10. So sometimes it's nice just to have a smaller, little squarer hoop, but you don't want to use the 5x7. So this is perfect for little tea towel designs or some Kimberbell projects. So, and then up next is I have the 8x8. So this will fit any machine up. So like Elissimo, Destiny, the Dream Machine, Solaris, Luminaire, Avenir, or Radiance. So the 8x8 hoop is once again just an amazing hoop. And don't forget, it's also 10% back today. So, and then I also have the 8x12 here. So the 8x12 is also a nice hoop. You could do a lot of bigger projects in there, like wall hangings. Did Tommy design some of his projects, I know, to fit in an 8x12?
I believe so.
So I think most of them all fit in an 8x12, if not 8x12, 9x14. And Tommy's digitizing is just amazing. We have his Magic in the Air hanging up in the back there. So if you have not seen them on previous shows, after this one, go back and check Tommy's Glorious Son. He's our in-house digitizer, and all his work is just amazing and mind-blowing. So, and then lastly, I have the 10 5/8 by 10 5/8 hoop. So getting one of these always helps too. This is especially great. I love using this hoop when I'm doing IQ Designer and I'm doing like a perfectly filled square for a pillow front. So definitely love, love, love this hoop. So, and then up next I have I do have a little 10-pack of Brother bobbins. So just if you needed more bobbins, it does not hurt to pick up a couple, because that is somehow one thing I'm always looking for too, is an empty bobbin. I'll find one with thread wrapped in it. I have no problem finding those, but it's whenever I go to look for empty bobbin, I can't find them. So, and then up next too, I have 2 sets of friction erasable pens and highlighters. So here's the highlighters. So these ones just heat erase really nicely. They're nice if you're doing on like a lighter fabric or maybe something with a quilt and you have to mark your position. But my favorites are the pens, and I absolutely love these because I can really mark a pinpoint position here. If I had to mark on my fabric here where I was going to line up something or a stitch or a buttonhole, I always use these for buttonholes, and I will maybe draw it out, and then I can draw my guides and make sure that my buttonhole is going to start here, and then it just easily erases off. So yeah, I definitely love my friction pens, and I can just briefly show real quick, even if I draw a little smiley face. So, and if I go over to the iron real quick, which I could just bring over for Kate, this just erases right off with heat. So, yeah, friction pens are always great, especially when you're lining up certain things, or like the center back of a denim jacket, which we did in Tommy and I's class at the spring event. So, all right, here's another foot that I love to talk about. So I know I talked about it briefly before, and this is the N plus foot. And I'm just going to show the difference real quick. So the N plus foot came in the 3rd upgrade kit for the Solaris and the Luminaire, but this could also be purchased separately. So let's say if you have like the 3550 behind me and you don't have a Luminaire or Solaris or another machine that you got this foot with, you could buy it separately, and it has these brackets on here that prevents the foot from wobbling on the ankle. So I think maybe even if I took off the ankle briefly and showed them this. See, I'm losing those screwdrivers again, guys. I did it on live. Usually I have one always next to the machine, and that's how they go missing. Okay. And so, let's say I put my little ankle on. We can see that this is wobbling. And when you're doing your decorative stitches, you don't really want that to wobble like that if you want to keep them nice and even. So when they came out with this foot, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the best, because it prevents it from wobbling and it keeps it nice and even. Now there's also a coating on the back of this, a Teflon coating, so you could actually go over faux leather and vinyl too with this foot when you're doing your decorative stitches. With this one here, it's still just a regular metal foot, so it will drag and you can't go over it. So the N plus foot is definitely nice to have, especially if you use those decorative stitches a lot, or even if you're going to use that My Custom Stitch feature. So they recommend that you use the N foot with the My Custom Stitch feature. And then up next too is the Brother laser guided embroidery foot. So actually for the machine over here too, the 3550, there is a little plug in the back. And when I saw that, I was like, wait, I wonder if that's for a laser guided foot, and it is. So whenever you're doing embroidery, this does not come with the machine, the laser guided foot. So you could set it up, and then you can use this to better position your designs and get an idea for where it's at in the hoop, or when you're going back stitches, and turn on that little needle beam, and you can line exactly back up to where you need to be. So the laser guided embroidery foot is definitely, in my opinion, a must-have for this machine, especially if you're going to use it a lot. So alrighty, and then I do have the blind hem foot up once again. So if you want to recreate this really cool decorative like mirage stitch, I definitely recommend getting that blind hem foot to make sewing this part a lot easier, because I've done it with just the regular J foot in my demos before, and sometimes I'll catch the main fabric here, which you don't want to do, because then it will cause it to pucker. Like I think maybe I caught it in the beginning there. You don't want to do that. You just want it to barely catch it. So if you guys can kind of see. And so using that blind hem foot, you can make it perfect so that your needle won't catch that. The laser foot that I just showed, so this does not fit the Solaris. So the machines that this will fit would be the Baby Lock like Vesta or Flare, or the Brother NQ series. So being this one here, the 3550, or the 3700D, which is the Disney version of it. So, but this one will not fit the Solaris or Luminaire. But I could show that that's on the Luminaire if I have a little bit of time. So I'll show up this last product real quick, and then I want to show that really quick too, because you have a built-in laser beam on the Luminaire. So if that's something that maybe you're interested in, if you're ready to maybe upgrade your machine, it's a really cool feature that you have. So up last here, I think, this is this really nice wool ironing mat that will fit right over your ironing board, and it has a grid on it. So it's 13 3/4 of an inch by 43 1/4 of an inch. So this would just roll right out on top of your ironing board. It's a really nice wool mat. It doesn't hurt to get one of these actually if you don't want to keep changing your ironing board cloth. I've changed those a couple of times. You spill water on it and then it like burns over time and looks kind of gross. So getting one of these to protect that is actually really nice, and it rolls up nice too with these little straps. So, and there is one more thing we have in the lineup, and that is the sublimation printer and the inks. So Tommy and I plan on using that sublimation printer actually for the upcoming fall event. And the project that we have, I think, is really going to blow a lot of people away. Kate knows about it. We still have to test it out before I announce it, because I don't want to get anybody excited if we don't end up doing that specific project. But if you are interested in that printer, we did all our tumblers. That was the big thing in the box last year for number 24, was a custom Gloria horn tumbler that we actually did all of those in-house and heat transferred all of those. I don't think I have one by me, but we did really fun designs. Everybody got a different one. So that sublimation printer is super fun to play with. And then here's the inks for it, which I'm just going to go through real quickly. So don't forget, it is 10% back today on these accessories here. So if you have to stock up, it does not hurt. And so we have yellow, we have black, magenta, and cyan all in the lineup. So Kate just clicked through those real quick. If you want to go through and watch that replay, you go and select those, and it will be 10% back today. So I'm sure that Kathy and Mary Lou will probably have 10% back tomorrow. So yeah, Gloria is in charge of that. She wants it at 10% this week, and I will not complain with that. Guys, get the best deal that you can. Save on the accessories and get 10% back in your account that you could use. That's amazing. So, all right, I am going to show that really quickly on the Luminaire here. I'm going to put on the embroidery foot. Why don't I show sewing real quick too? So the guide beam on the luminaire. So if you are somebody who definitely sews a lot or quilts a lot, I'm surprised I got that in one click. Sometimes I always have to do like two. So let me just take this piece of fabric right here. And so if we go into sewing here, and this is the exact same on the Solaris as well, if we go up here, actually, we can turn on the guideline feature. And so we'll do a little laser beam. And right now you can't see it on that silver plate. If I hold over a piece of paper real quick, I could turn it on. And so I'm just going to set these back to the default real quick, which would be 0, 0. And so that will line that directly up with the needle. And then I'm also going to bump it forward so that I can see more of the line. There we go. And then you can also turn on a sub guideline. So this main line is where our needle's going to stitch at. And if we go to the sub, we can actually turn on a sub guideline here. And so if we go ahead and select it at over here, so now it's a little to the left. If we keep going, it will tell us when we get to an inch increment. So if I want to have a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, I could set it there. And when I'm sewing, if I start to see too much of that green, then that's how I know I'm going over my seam allowance. But what a lot of people like to do, especially quilters, is put it at a 1/4 of an inch. And then whenever they're sewing or they're piecing, they have that perfect 1/4 inch guideline that lines directly up with that 1/4 inch increment on that needle plate. And so whenever we're sewing, I can stay lined up without going over my seam allowance. And so that's just such a really cool feature to have on a machine. And it very much does come in handy. So there's a few other ones that you have options with, which I will just kind of tie off and use the paper to show you a little bit better and more clearer. You can actually make this a grid, and you could space those out and do multiple rows of decorative stitches. And so Joni was working on a pillow over in the other building actually. And so she would sew one row of decorative stitches, and then she could evenly space it and start the next row by lining up the previous row with the grid and so forth. So she was doing a lot of rows of decorative stitches for a beautiful pillow front, which I think is such a fun way to use that feature. So, and then if we go into embroidery actually, so we'll go and hit the home button, and then we'll go to embroidery, and then the carriage is just going to move. And then let me grab a hoop real quick. So I'll just take this 6x10, and I should put the embroidery foot on real quick. And little cheat code. So see how there's not as much hand space? If we go home and go to sewing, we can move that arm out of the way again, just to give us a little bit more space to take off the foot and put on the embroidery foot. All right, and then let's go back here, go to embroidery. And then let's slide in this hoop real quick. And so I'm just going to use a piece of paper, and we'll pretend we had something hooped here so we can see. But if I select a, let's choose the first monogram, so an A real quick, we could hit set, and then we could use positioning here. So let's say I had a pen here, which I thought I did here. So if I needed to center something over here maybe, we'll pretend that's my center there. I can actually go into embroidery and hit that, and then if I go up top here where there's this little W, that actually makes the lights go dim and turns on a little crosshair. So if I had to move it, I could easily, with the hoop in, line up where I needed to place it at, which that's as far to this side I could go to. But let's say it was something actually hooped here, I could line it up and use that little crosshair to line up on a specific marking for the center of my design. And what's also really cool on this machine is rather than just doing that, I could turn on the projector and I could actually project out the design to see what it's going to look like. And so on the screen here, if I touch the red box and I have the hoop in, I can drag over and see where the design's going to be at with something in the hoop. And then I could also use the little arrows here to bump something up if need be, if I had to move it. So that's really cool that you have that feature on this machine as well. I still think that's like probably my favorite thing on this machine is the projector, because what other sewing machine has a projector? So, and being able to see how your stitch is going to look is really cool, and the size of it. So, and once again, if you are interested maybe in upgrading your machine, or you're just interested in a Luminaire at a really good price, feel free to give Steve or I a call, or same with the Solaris. So at 412-344-2330. So, and we're option 2. So yeah, I don't know if I have anything else for today, but I hope that everyone's having a wonderful Tuesday. So make sure to join us again tomorrow at 3 o'clock? At 3 o'clock for Kathy and Mary Lou. And maybe Tommy and I might be on their show a little bit tomorrow too with the skin cut, or that might be next week. We'll see. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us and have a great day.